Welcome, everyone. So, what's going on today? It is a little bit of a different episode than my usual guest centered conversations, mainly because I felt deeply guided to speak about today's topic and bring greater awareness to it. Over the past several weeks, I've been receiving strong intuitive nudges to open this conversation around personal growth, emotional overwhelm, boundaries, relationships, um, and the ways of our inner world begins showing up in our everyday interactions and experiences. So, for today's episode, just so you are aware of, it's a little more personal and intentional conversation that I truly believe many people may need to hear right now. Today's episode is honestly one of the most important conversations I've had in a long time because I think a lot of people misunderstand what personal growth actually is. A lot of people think that growth is waking up early, going to the gym, reading books, journaling, meditating, building some type of discipline. And don't get me wrong, that definitely matters. That kind of stuff definitely matters. But here's the thing nobody talks about enough, or at least not enough. Your growth is really tested when other people are involved. You can feel peaceful by yourself. You could be in a room, you could be in your bedroom, you could be in the meditative meditation room if you have one, and you can feel confident alone. You could feel emotionally mature when nothing is challenging you. But then somebody disrespects your time. Somebody crosses a boundary. Somebody disappoints you. Or even worse, you need to have the difficult conversation. Most people hate difficult conversations because they don't want the confrontation. But all of a sudden, all that inner work gets tested, right? That's why today we're talking about this. Growth isn't just internal, it shows up socially. So let me break it down a little bit, just for shits and giggles, as they say. We're going to break down setting boundaries without guilt, improving communication, because a lot of people have right intentions, but they really don't know how to communicate it without sounding confrontational or making it sound like it's their way or no way. Handling conflict in a healthy way. Sometimes the smallest word, no, has to be included. And building meaningful relationships. And honestly, if you apply some of this stuff, your life changes. Not just your mindset, but your actually day to day life. For example, setting boundaries without guilt. Most all of my students they could tell you one time or another, I have sat them down and I said, okay, this is where we go. This is what we do. You got to set boundaries. What exactly is that you will not tolerate? Because generally, I believe that boundaries are one of the biggest things people struggle with today. And here's the truth, most people don't have a boundary problem, They have a guilt problem. They know what they want to say. They know what they want or should say, but they feel bad saying it. So instead, they get overextended. They say yes when they mean no. They tolerate things when they shouldn't tolerate and slowly become resentful, right? And what happens to somebody who's like a volcano and that lava starts to get hotter and hotter and hotter? It explodes. It explodes at the wrong time. And that and what is really crazy about all this is that a lot of people don't realize they're doing it. They think they're being nice, but being nice at the expense of yourself eventually turns into frustration. Because deep down, really deep down, you know you're betraying yourself. I used to think boundaries were harsh, and especially in my early 20s. Oh, I don't want to seem mean. I don't want to say no. I want to help everyone. All it just came over and over and over, and I was pushing myself further and further, not only for myself, but also my health would come in play. My uh, the stuff that I had to do would not get done. So I also thought that setting boundaries meant pushing people away or being cold. That's not what it's about. But that's not what boundaries are. Truthfully, they're not. Boundaries are about clarity. They tell people what you're okay with. They tell people what you're not okay with and how you expect to be treated. That is healthy, pure and healthy. For example, I tell everyone, and everyone should know, not to video call me unless we set an appointment. We set an appointment, then I know you're calling me on a video. I know you're calling me. And a lot of the times, most of my friends text me, is it okay to call you now? Can we talk? That is the way to do it. And if I am not able to, I'm going to say, no, not now, but we could set up a time later, whether it's today or another day or a week from now. That is a healthy boundary. Now, what's even more healthy is if you do video call me, whether it's on Facebook, on Instagram, on WhatsApp, wherever, even on the phone, whatever, and you do not respect my boundaries after I retell you what it is, after I make sure that I say, don't do that again, you're blocked. I don't care who you are. You could be God, okay? You could be God coming down to tell me something specific. And if you did not check with me to make sure I am awake, to make sure I am okay, to make sure that I am willing to accept a video call or a call in general, he'll be blocked or she'll be blocked. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. Why? Because in I'm old enough to know and to remember when it was beautifully put. You could not get in touch with everybody all the time. You had only the house phone, and it was great. You still had your peace when you were out. You still had moments where you looked at the caller ID, and if you did not couldn't deal with that person at that moment, or you just didn't have the time, it was okay. You let it go to voicemail. But people nowadays get attached to phones, get attached to electronics, and they expect you to be there 24/7. I'm sorry. But when you call me at 3 o'clock in my morning, you're blocked. How dare you? No way. That's healthy. Why? Because I need my sleep at my 3 o'clock in the morning. I will never call you at your 3 o'clock in the morning. And that is one of the basic reasons why I always ask, what time zone are you in? Because then I could work around my schedule and your schedule so you're not talking to me at 3 o'clock in the morning. It is only right that and decent for a person to ask, can I talk to you? Or call and expect me not to answer. Don't get all bent out of shape if I don't answer. Sorry. It's my time. My time. That's it. So what's unhealthy is pretending that you're okay when things are not actually okay. Like if somebody calls me and I pick up the phone at 3 o'clock in the morning and I talk to them and pretend everything is hunky dory, why it's my 3 o'clock in the morning. I am sorry. That is disappointing on appointment on myself. That is making myself sick. That is not a healthy relationship. It would never even be a healthy boundary. A lot of people are terrified to disappoint others. And let me be clear, yes, okay, I hate to disappoint people, but sometimes I have to put myself on the list of who I'm going to disappoint and who I'm not. And if I am not going to disappoint myself, somebody else has got to get disappointed. That's not being selfish. That's actually saving your life. Creating healthy boundaries creates a perfectly good relationship. It's like a contract, okay? What is the law say? What is in that contract, black and white? That is what we go by. So if there's a dispute and it states you have to go to arbitration, that's what we go by. We go to the arbitration, or we go to court, or we try to have a four-way conference, all parties plus their attorneys try to come to an agreement, and it has to end up in writing. Why? Because these are healthy boundaries. It's like setting a contract. Setting a contract where you will think of your health and your mental health, your physical health, your emotional health, your energetic health before anybody else's. You are no good to anyone if you're down. That's it. Now, you cannot build a healthy relationship while constantly abandoning yourself to keep other people comfortable. It's impossible. You are going to start getting sick. You're going to start getting burnt out. You're going to start uh, realizing that you are just overextending yourself and getting weaker and weaker. And what's going to happen when you're not available for them? They're going to find somebody else that they could go and pick on and go and talk to them and get all that stuff, because at that moment when you say no, they'll find somebody else. Now, I'm not saying if there's an emergency, people. Emergencies are different. It is okay. But if you have taken pills and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you have taken pills to sleep, not that I don't, but some people do, or you have taken your medication and it's making you sleepy, do not, do not say, yeah, I could drive, because you put yourself at risk of getting into an accident, of killing somebody else, or even killing you and your friend that you're trying to help. It is best, what is the best service here? You're calling 911 for them so they could get the right people there. Sometimes that's what you need to do. I'm not saying that every single time you say no, but there comes a time where you have to take your turn. You uh, a lot of people listening to this right now are probably struggling with people pleasing, right? We all want to please everyone. Why? Because you want to avoid saying no. Oh my goodness. You don't want to have a conflict. You don't want to rejection. You don't want people to think that differently of you, so you stay quiet. But silence creates resentment at one point or another. And resentment eventually damages relationships anyway. So, ironically, the thing you've been avoiding eventually happens because you avoided honesty. One of the biggest mindset shifts for me was realizing this. You are not responsible for how people react to your boundaries. That's it. You are not responsible for how people react to your boundaries. You're responsible for communicating them clearly and respectfully. That's it. And sometimes boundaries sound very simple. Sometimes it's, I can't do that. That doesn't work for me. I need time for myself. I'm not available. I'm just not available. Notice something? None of these require a 10-minute explanation. A lot of people, and I've seen this over and over and over explain themselves because they want permission to protect themselves. But you don't need permission to think of you and your health first. Now, obviously, this doesn't mean that you should be mean, rude, and this doesn't mean that you're becoming selfish. There's a balance. But healthy people respect healthy boundaries. You'd be surprised when you say to your friend or the person that's asking and asking and asking, always wanting and wanting and wanting, and you say one day, no, I can't do that, period. You'd be surprised. They're not going to be, oh my God, this, that, and every single time I ask you for something, you say no. And if they do say that, you still say, no, I can't do that. And unhealthy people usually are the ones that get upset because they benefit from you not having them. That is exactly what I'm talking about. Unhealthy people love when people don't have boundaries because then they could continuously take and take and take and take and take and take at your expense. The biggest thing I always tell people is take your turn. You need 5 minutes to compose yourself, to ground yourself. You're come home too tired and you just can't do it today. Well, that's it. You can't do it today. And if you want to, okay, this is up to you. If you want to, you could always give them an option. No, I cannot do that today, but I could do it Thursday or I could do it Friday. That's why when you start changing, some people will react negatively because they don't have you at their beck and call any longer. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because the dynamic is changing. And honestly, let's face it, that's part of growth. That's part of becoming wiser. That is part of having your soul find its way into the proper evolution path. Growth changes relationships. It depends on whether some people grow with you or some people resist your growth. And that's okay. That is perfectly okay. Offer transition. You know, you know, this is something I work very deeply on with people because boundaries affect everything. When you have boundaries and you start saying no, you start saying, I can't today, I am too tired, I need my sleep, I need my rest, I don't have energy. Okay, it's going to start affecting your confidence, your relationships, your energy, and your peace of mind. And most people were never taught how to actually do this in real life. It is the hardest thing that people get taught. Sometimes the smallest word, no, has the biggest impact. Has the biggest impact. Now I see that some people are in the chat, and I'm sorry if I'm not responding to anybody's uh, post or questions. Just bear with me. I want to get through to this, and if there's time at the end, I will take some questions. If not, send those questions to my email, glendasmagicalcreations@gmail.com. And let's chat. Let's chat privately. You don't have to put all your stuff in the chat room. I appreciate you. Please, right now, if you haven't, share this away. Like, subscribe if you haven't. Doesn't cost you anything. And let's continue talking. Now, I also want to like I was breaking it down, I also want to talk about improving communication skills. Whew, honestly, wow. Most problems in life are communication problems. Relationships, friendships, dating, business, family. So many issues come down to people not expressing themselves clearly. A lot of people expect mind reading. Yeah, I could read your mind, but I don't want to go into your chaos. That's okay, thank you. Why don't you tell me exactly what it is that you need, what exactly you want, and what exactly it is that we're talking about? Respectful, right? You don't have to be mean. You don't have to be yelling. You don't have to do any of that stuff. Just respectful. A lot of people expect you to also get their hints. They hint instead of speaking directly. Look, like I said, I could get hints, I could read your mind, but what if what I am getting out of it is different than you're getting out of it? When I was younger, people always tried to surprise me. You know what was the biggest thing? You notice that people always stop chatting with you about the important stuff when they're trying to surprise you, when they're planning a surprise party. It's the energy changes. They're hiding something. For goodness sakes, be yourself and you'll be able to get away with those surprises a lot better. They assume instead of asking questions. That's another problem. Don't assume I'm going to be available 24/7 instead of asking me. Don't assume that I am going to do this for you instead of asking me. If the least you can do is respect me enough because you want the same respect to ask me correctly or ask me exactly what it is that you want or you want to talk about. And then, they get all upset when things go wrong. I'm sorry. But if you want me to fix your window, okay, and you should say, "Hey, I want to cover that window." I'm thinking you want a curtain. I'm not thinking you want caulk around your window because there's, debris coming in. There's a difference of saying things. Say it straight out in a nice way. There's no need to yell, to be mean, to be aggressive, nothing like that. And one of the biggest signs of maturity is being able to communicate clearly, not aggressively, not passively, but clearly. Clearly. Clear communication reduces anxiety. Why? Why do you ask? Well, because there is no confusion. And confusion creates overthinking. And a lot of people live in confusion because nobody's actually saying what they mean. Okay, do you want us to go out to dinner? Okay, we got past that. Yeah, let's get a bite to eat. Oh, where would you like to go? Oh, whatever you want. Okay? So I pick. Oh, I really can't eat this, can't eat that, can't eat. Then just say, I could only eat here because this is what I can eat. And we solve the problem. If I'm asking you, where are we going? Why are you hemming and hawking? And, please, I'm asking you to pick the place. So let's do it. And if there's a problem with that place, I will tell you, I really can't eat there. The food is too hot. Do they have options? What kind of options do they have? Let's get it all out in the open. Why create drama? Drama creates confusion. Drama creates negativity, and drama actually creates anxiety for all of us because you don't know exactly what to do. Now you're going to this place and you're eating just like a little bit because you couldn't say, I really can't eat this food. Cut it out. Let's face it. Let's not overthink things. Let's just Say it clear. Now, another thing, huge, huge tone. Tone matters more than people realize. You could say the right thing with the wrong energy and create a completely different outcome. Literally. Somebody could tell me, oh, you look really good in that outfit today. Okay. Now, they could say it that way, or they could say, wow, you look really good in that outfit today. Or, you really look good in that outfit today. I guess. Yeah. You really do look good in that outfit. Look at the difference in tone. All three. Wow, you really look good in that outfit today. That's a positive statement. That's a positive thing. That is something that the person who's hearing it is going to take it as positive. But if you're like, you really look good in that outfit today, that to me, you're judging me. You're saying that just to say something because you don't want to say it to my face, but you're judging the way I look today. And who the hell made you God? That's just an old saying, but really, you don't need to judge me by the way I look. It's my body. It's me. I could look however I want. If you don't like the outfit because you think it makes me look fatter or too much out there, the girls are out there too much or whatever, then come to say, you know what? I love the outfit. It looks good on you. Are you okay with, you know, being a little bit too out there? But it looks good. Sometimes, you know what? We have to own it. And the way we look is the way we feel. So if could wear anything and I don't feel good in it, it's not going to look good on me, period, because my energy isn't with it. And it's the same way as what you say to somebody. Honestly, listening is another one of those things that are really underrated social skills in the world. Most people, most people, I'm not saying all, so don't go out there and say, oh, she said all. No, most people don't listen to understand. They're listening to respond. They do not even get past the first couple of words. They're not hearing you at all. They wait for their turn to talk. But they already have the answer in their mind, what they're going to say, even before you finishing the sentence. That's telling me they're not listening. All that's telling me is they want to be confrontative and they want to make sure you understand that their point of view is better than yours or that their way of looking at things is 100% and yours needs adjustment. But real communication means slowing down, no expectations, paying attention, and actually listening and hearing what the person is saying. That changes relationships immediately. Now it's a work in progress because one day you could be perfectly fine listening and hearing and all that other stuff, and sometimes even hearing what is not said. And sometimes you come home, you're tired, you've had a bad day, you had a flat tire, then your car overheated, and then you had to call a tow truck, you had to wait 2 hours for it, then you found out they're not giving you a ride to wherever you got to go. So they take your car, but you're stuck out there. So all these, one thing after another, and sets your day completely off. You're not ready to really pay attention to what's said or what is going on or anything like that. And that is okay. But you have to remember, you could always say, I really had a bad day. Give me a moment. Let me just ground myself and clear myself so I could have clarity. And then you and I could sit down and really would love to chat with you, talk with you, and talk with you, not to you, with you. Let's talk. Let's communicate. You know, let me give you something that a lot of people don't understand, but it could be really used actually practical. One of the best communication framework that I love is basically this. When you do X, I feel like Y, and I would prefer Z. That's simple. So that is clear, simple, clear, not attactive, doesn't attack anybody. When you cancel at the last minute, I feel frustrated because I value my time. I preferred more notice next time. You notice how that is simple. That is simple. That's setting a boundary. That is expressing you. Notice how different that form is. You never respect me. No. One creates a conversation, the other one creates defensiveness. That is what I say. If you're not in a moment where you can actually sit down and listen, just say, give me a little bit. I want to hear everything you have to say. I want to listen to you. I want to communicate with you. I want to talk with you. But let me just come back together and get clarity, ground myself because I've had a rough day. Just give me 5, 10 minutes and then we will talk because I value what you have to say. Very simple. Very simple, especially if you're in a relationship. Sometimes it takes a little work, takes practice because we're not used to that. We're used to in the society to just say what we gotta say, and too bad you like it or you don't. And some people will just be hearing you because that's how they've been taught. They were taught to survive, survive, survive. And the only way to survive is to be able to attack before they attack you. That's not true. And this is where a lot of people struggle because a lot of people either avoid saying things or explode emotionally. Again, the boundaries help you with that because you will not create that volcano that keeps percolating and getting hotter and hotter and higher and higher and then explodes. Middle communication is the middle ground, or healthy communication is the middle ground. It's honesty without unnecessary aggression. And honesty, this changes every relationship in your life. I have friends that we don't talk sometimes for a year, 2 years. We message each other in important things, grandkids, selling of things, opening things, celebrating anniversaries, birthdays. And then somewhere in between, we call each other one day and we're like, blah, 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 and we catch up. But you know what? We're both, we all know we're honest with each other. And we understand that when we don't communicate with each other, it's not that we've forgotten each other and we don't want each other in our lives. It's that life is happening. And we are hopefully appreciating and enjoying what is life bringing us and dealing with whatever comes to us. And sometimes, we just don't have the time. And we are honest about that. This is something I focus heavily in all of my programs, all of them, because knowing communication principles is one thing, but actually applying them is a difficult life situations is completely different. All of my relationships are based in truth, whether it's the truth that you want to hear or whether it's the truth you don't want to hear. They're all based in truth. And if you hear me, if you listen to me, I will tell you exactly how it is, exactly what's going on, exactly where I am, exactly where we are. But you don't listen sometimes. You don't pay attention sometimes. And that's the difference. Now, let's talk about conflict. You know, and this is something very, very big because a lot of people are terrified of conflict. They think conflict automatically means drama and yelling, toxicity, broken relationships. But conflict itself isn't bad. Unhealthy conflict is bad. But healthy conflict actually builds stronger relationships. Why? because honesty builds trust. And here's truth. Well, I've been saying the truth. According to my experience, if you avoid conflict completely, you will never have deep relationships, ever. Every single relationship in your world that you are experiencing or have experienced will have to have some conflict, healthy ones. That just means a difference of opinion. And you can respect each other's opinions and listening to their version of that opinion or of that situation. And maybe, who knows, you might find it that they're right, or it might give you a different perspective. Real relationships require different and difficult conversations sometimes. That's normal. That is very normal. Even if it's siblings, if it's parents, if it's aunts and uncles, if it's your lovers, if it's your children, if it's your grandkids, if it's anybody, even just friends. Goodness sakes, even people in business, you have difficult conversations. And that is it. Now, it's obviously there are unhealthy ways to handle conflict. Some people attack, some people insult, some people interrupt, some people blame others for everything. Some people bring up the past and try to win in any discussion. That is not healthy conflict. Absolutely. That's emotional immaturity. Complete emotional immaturity. Healthy conflict focuses on solving the issue, not destroying the person that's in front of you. No, it is not about control. It's not about emotional suppression. It is one of the most important things you could learn is emotional management. And there is a huge difference between emotional control or emotional management. You can feel emotions without letting them control you or manage your behavior. Somebody could come at me, we have a confrontation, and I could just say, okay, they don't agree with me. And at this very moment, they choose to take their toys and go home and pout and stomp their feet. Okay, I continue because I set my boundaries. And once my boundaries are broken, then you don't respect me. So I take my boundaries back. You do not get to be in my circle if you continuously break my boundaries or overstep them. Not every conversation needs to happen immediately either. If emotions are high, it is best that you just do a pause. I love the couples that come to me that actually say, right now, I am not in the right frame to have a conversation. I want to table this conversation and go for a walk. And maybe when I come back, I could become less reactive and communicate in a better way. Because if not, emotions are high, people become very reactive and they say things that you may not even want to say or mean, but it happens. Now, I remember a long, long time ago, yes, I'm going to age myself, when AOL was still a thing. Yes, that far back. Yes, 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 I know. My mentor back then um, said to me, you can send an email when you have a difficult situation, when you have a difficult um, interaction. But wait until the morning and reread it before you send it. This way, your emotions do not dictate what you send, but your truth will be said without the reaction. Those words hit like a ton of bricks. When my mentor said something as simple as that, and she was at least 30 years older than I, 40 years older. And she was straight out said, you write your email, but put it in a draft. Don't send it. Wait until the morning. Sleep on it. Have your coffee, have your breakfast. If you're not at work, just take a few, then reread it before you're sending it. 99% of the times, you will change what it says because you want to say the exact same thing. You want to say your boundaries. You want to make your statement and your truth without the emotional attachment or fury that it comes with, the explosiveness that it comes with. And that is a beautiful thing. Now, another thing important thing I want to bring, stop bringing old issues into new conversations. A lot of people do that. And it destroys trust because now the conversation becomes overwhelming instead of productive. Stay focused on the issue right now and listen. One of the biggest signs of growth is being able to stay calm in uncomfortable conversations. That changes your entire presence, and people will respect that. And more importantly, you respect yourself. Now, let's bring something, let's just go over everything. Let's bring it all together. Relationships, because relationships shape your life more than most people realize. Your environment matters as well. The people around you affect your mindset, your habits, your confidence, your standard. Oh my God, your standard, your energy. If you're around people who drain you, your energy will be nothing. Level of energy will be almost zero. And one thing people struggle with is accepting that growth changes relationships. And sometimes you outgrow people, and that's normal. Not everybody's meant to grow with you forever. I wish it was, because there's a lot of old friendships that I miss when we were friends. I don't miss the version that they became after we were friends. And a lot of those people even broke my trust by saying things that was said in confidence to them while we were friends. That's a big no no. That's a rule you should never break. When somebody tells you something, keep it to yourself, no matter if you're not friends with them ever again. And some people only knew that version of you that stayed quiet, the version of you that tolerated disrespect, the version of you that lacked boundaries, the version of you that avoided honesty. And when you grow and you heal, the dynamic changes. That doesn't make you a bad person. It means that you're evolving. And truthfully, a meaningful relationship requires always honesty, mutual respect, communication, truth, and emotional maturity. Not perfection, mind you. Not perfection. Nobody's perfect. No situation is perfect. It may be perfect for you, but there is no such thing as perfection. Maturity. Maturity. Oh, Lord. God help us. I know I say that a lot, but I do ask for help because there's so many people that are immature. They don't realize the stuff that they're saying, the boundaries that they're overstepping. They don't realize the relationships that they're letting go because they don't even respect themselves. You attract healthier relationships when you become healthier yourself. That is very important. Very important. And be, a lot of people ask, how do I find better people? But the better question is, am I becoming the type of person who built healthy relationships? That's where the real work goes. That's when it really happens. So let me say this before we wrap up today. You can listen to this episode, you can take notes, agree with everything I say, but if you don't apply it, nothing changes. I want you to apply some of these things. Let it soak in, see if it makes sense, see if it resonates, and then apply some of this stuff. It's the same thing I tell my students. I will teach you all the tools, but if you don't use them, they're useless. The the toolbox and the tools in it will just get rusty or get broken. It just won't work when you need them either if you don't start using them on a daily basis. If you don't take the effort, make the effort. I realize that a lot of people understand these ideas intellectually by the structure. The structure of it doesn't make sense to them because they cannot apply them in their real lives day to day. Now, before we wrap up today's episode, just want to share something with you that feels really aligned with this conversation. And if you've been emotionally drained, overwhelmed, disconnected from yourself, or your nervous system has been carrying too much for too long, yes, I'm going to talk shamelessly, do a commercial here. I created something specifically to support this process. And this is my birthday gift for the birthday month of June, and it starts next week, June 4th. It's a full 4 session experience that is being offered as a special package for the price of one regular session. One regular session. But I wanted to try to make it affordable for everyone. I wanted to make it so everyone can, as many people as possible. It's called Sovereign Energy Reset Circle. And again, it's a 4 week guided group experience beginning June 4th. And over those 4 weeks, we gently work through themes like awareness, release, reconnection, and integration. And it's not about forcing change or trying to fix yourself. It's about creating space for your system to slow down, to settle, to reconnect with a greater sense of balance, clarity, and self awareness. We'll explore emotional patterns, stress response, boundaries, relationships, and how feeling overwhelmed can affect how we move through life. Sometimes we should settle for things because we're too drained, and we should shut down. And that's not who you're supposed to be. No. So if this conversation resonated with you and you feel called to go deeper, you could check the link in the description or message me directly for more details. I know this is a shameful commercial, but I have been guided to do this. I have been guided to set this special price. I've been guided to do this special package and using the excuse that it's my birthday month so I could celebrate with you. This is just a reminder. This experience is intended for personal awareness and support, and it is not a substitute for medical or mental health care. I have to say that because otherwise people think I'm a doctor and I'm not. I appreciate you guys listening. Please, please remember to share, remember to subscribe. Above all, you know, uh, take care of yourselves. And I will see you next Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern with next episode of Glenda's Dragons Den. Don't know what it's going to be about yet. Don't even know who the guest is going to be. But you know what? That's the mystery and the excitement about it. My guides always direct me in the right way, and I listen to them. Because if I don't, I go still end up in the same place, but a long way with a lot more chaos and drama. So I might as well just surrender and go. Um, Before I go, I just want to say thank you for being here week after week, and love you all. And take care of yourselves. Be good to yourselves and stay healthy. Again, love.